children, people of all kinds, whoever you are, everyone's welcome to this dojo. It's your boy Peter here, aka Peter Freakout 10, baby. Bringing you guys an episode of the Movie Review Show, with the good movies are always reviewed. Alright, back again to our movie review. You know, the movie industry is constantly experimenting with movies, constantly combining genres that you never thought you would see. Whether it's horror and comedy, sci-fi and horror, and even sci-fi and comedy. Hollywood is always taking chances and working with genres, and while they may sound weird on paper, with the right writer and director at the helm, anything can work with movies. And today's film asks the question, what do you get when you combine martial arts action with a western? You get Shanghai Noon, baby. But does it all come together? Well, grab your horse and make sure it knows the SID command and get your martial arts action movie moves learned as we talk Shanghai Noon. Now, Shanghai Noon, this is a film made in the year 2000, and it's directed by a guy named Tom Dey. I believe I'm saying his name right, but this is his directorial debut. Now, one may ask, where would an idea for something like this come from? Well, Alfred Gough, who had previously written Lethal Weapon 4, and Miles Millar also had a hand in Lethal Weapon 4. He also worked on Made Men. Were looking into a script that they could work with Jackie Chan on, pushed even further by the success of Rush Hour that he had in 1998. They were looking to do a movie that also combines both the Western genre and martial arts action. And when writing the script, they drew influence from various Westerns, martial arts action, and even some of Jackie Chan's own work when writing the script. Spyglass Entertainment and Touchstone picked up the rights to distribute the film and greenlit the film under the title Shanghai Noon and gave the film a budget of $55 million. With the budget secured, the last thing to do was find a director who could take on this project, and they decided to go with Tom Dey as they were looking for fresh new talent to helm the film, as around that time he had only had a background in TV commercials. The team met with him and he agreed to come on, with the exception of being allowed to fiddle with the script to broaden the vision that they originally had. With Tom Dey in the directing chair, the team got the rest of their cast together. Now, not much is known about the shooting beyond the fact that the film was shot in the Canadian Badlands, with some areas being shot in the actual Beijing location. I know they had to scale back on some ideas due to time and budget, like Tom Dey originally had an idea where he wanted there to be a nod to Drunken Master, another film that Jackie Chan had done with an actual fight in a saloon with Jackie actually drunk. But other than that, shooting went pretty well, especially considering the circumstances and where they were shooting in. But the film was released on Memorial Day weekend 2000, on May 26, 2000, and it opened to number 2 at the box office behind the mighty Mission Impossible 2 and made only over $15 million at the box office. It's slowly making its money back, as by June 9th, it made over $41 million, so it's made roughly half of its budget back. We'll see more on the final result later. I think putting it out the same time as Mission Impossible 2 was definitely a death sentence, as they should have known the whole phenomenon that the first one was, not just for newcomers, but fans of the original who were skeptical of where the first went, but they were impressed with what they were able to do and what Tom Cruise and the company had accomplished with that film. So of course they were going to see that. But I'm surprised the reviews didn't help this film in that area, because it received highly positive reviews, which surprised me. On Rotten Tomatoes, it is an 80%. Despite the plot not being anything original to critics, the execution was praised in that area for the film's directing and the performances, Jackie Chan especially, and the action. Roger Ebert even awarded the film 3 out of 4 stars and praised the film for the chemistry with Jackie and Owen Wilson and how successfully it blended both Western and action films together. While the audience side seems a tiny bit lower by a 65%, still in a good range. On IMDb, it is a 6.6 out of 10, so good there. Now, this is a film I honestly knew nothing about, which is surprising because I'm usually on top of these sort of films. I hadn't seen any of the trailers. It was just a week before I was planning on to see American Psycho that I was going to check out another film, and then I saw like this film pop up, and I kind of knew looking at the poster that this was going to be a sort of Western equivalent of Rush Hour. So I knew what it was, but it didn't reach my interest at first. That was until a friend of mine told me it was funny and he caught an early screening of it. So hearing my friend and what he liked about the film, I figured, you know what, why not give it a watch? And coming out, I think this is a solid action film. Still a pretty good film, and definitely a unique one at that. I don't think it's as good as Rush Hour. I would definitely put that one above this. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that because this is under the Touchstone label, which is in conjunction with Disney, you can tell it's a film that at times is playing it a bit too safe, even with the PG-13 rating. So I think that kind of hampered it a bit for me. But even with that, this is still a solid action film. I still think it's a really good movie, and a unique one at that, especially when it combines both genres. I'll explain why later, though. But getting into the cast, like I said, you got Jackie Chan, who needs no introduction considering the long filmography he has of action films, and if we were to do that, we would be here for a couple days. You have Owen Wilson. He had a small role in The Cable Guy. He was the dude Jim Carrey beat up in the bathroom. He was in Anaconda, Armageddon. You have Lucy Liu from TV's Ally McBeal. She was in Payback with Mel Gibson, and she's going to be in Charlie's Angels with Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz. You have Roger Yoon, who had small roles in various action films before this, like Spawn, Showdown in Little Tokyo. He's mostly a stunt guy, though. Alexander Berkeley from Candyman, Terminator 2, and Heat. Besides that, other people you got Walton Goggins from The Next Karate Kid in Major League, Back to the Minors, Jason Connery, Sean Connery's son, and a bunch of other people I know nothing about. But getting into the plot is basically we meet this guy named Chon, played by Jackie Chan, who is a guard at the Chinese Imperial City that is being ruled over by Princess Pei. Yes, that is her actual name. Played by Lucy Liu, who is being chose to wed this guy named Lu Feng, played by Roger Yoon. So she decides to run away. Chon, hearing about this news, decides to go along with his grandfather to try and find her and bring her home. Meanwhile, we meet this outlaw named Roy, played by Owen Wilson, who along with his crew are planning this train robbery. And during the train robbery, one of the crew accidentally kills his grandfather, and Liu ends up capturing Princess Pei, who is putting people in her kingdom to work as slaves. So now knowing this and knowing that Roy knows the directions to where she is, he agrees to let him work with him to save Princess Pei. And so the journey begins as the two set out on a journey, all the while being wanted by him and his crew. Will the two be able to save Princess Pei and her kingdom, or will they both be found in the desert with a horseshoe shoved down their throat? Now, while on a storytelling front, while it may seem like a diet soda version of Rush Hour in the Old West, especially since the character that Jackie Chan plays does have a bit of characteristics of the character that he played in Rush Hour, I think the execution is done well for the most part, and it does do its own thing with the story, not only because it has both the Western and action genre combined together, unlike Rush Hour, which was basically a buddy cop film with a action movie thrown in there, which is something that we've seen before, but Rush Hour did it so well. This does make a chance to do something different and combines both Western and action together, and it does have fun with the idea. While the two, Jackie and Owen, don't have the chemistry spark Jackie and Chris Tucker did in Rush Hour, there's still some fun moments between the two. Like the bathtub scene where they're drunk and they flood the floor, the scene in the jail cell together where they get through the bars, pulling them this way and they cram them to the side, or the scene with the Indians and Jackie Chan gets married to an Indian woman. That was funny. Despite those particular moments, there is some moments where the comedy does feel a bit too safe in some area, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it is under the Disney banner with Touchstone, so some of the jokes are somewhat tamer compared to Rush Hour, but there is some moments where it does get me to smile, but then you have those moments that don't work, like with Lucy Liu's characters being named Princess Pei. She's got a name, Princess Pei, who's a freaking named after P. First off, that's not funny. There's jokes like that in the film that could have been refined a bit more here and there. And there's moments where particular characters feel a bit underdeveloped. Some of them may have to do with the fact that the editing process took those particular characters out, especially since particular characters were meant to have more in the story. Like Walton Goggins, who you think is going to play a part in the story, especially considering he's the one who kills and shoots Jackie Chan's grandfather. You'd think there would be a side of the story where there's a revenge story there. But that's not the thing. He disappears till the end of the film. And I thought there was going to be more to him. Like his character was going to team up with the main guy to basically kill him. But he never comes back. I don't know if he wasn't written there or they had more of him there that was lost in editing. Hell, even with Lucy Liu, they try to build up this romance between her and Jackie, but that's practically non-existent because it goes nowhere. Whereas there's not many scenes of the two sharing a real sense of chemistry that is growing. So the script could have used a lot more refining in the character development. Now, I know some people may be asking, are you sure you like this film? I'll say, I do like the villain. I like how he is involved in this, getting this agent to bring her to him, and how he puts Princess Peepee to work in this camp. And then there's this whole aspect where she can't reveal she's the princess, and that will cause a scene on the camp. So she has to not say anything, and the tension's really building in that area where you start to wonder how long she can keep this up till it's actually revealed. I like that aspect of the story, and I thought it was a different change of pace for a character like this. And despite the film not being heavy on character development, it does move at a fast pace, so I think anyone who's going for a fast-paced film will definitely get that out of this film. So yeah, while the story may have some flaws, it's a solid enough script, even with the flaws in there. I will say, though, I do think, though, some of the flaws are not just because of the script, but I also think they have a lot to do with Tom Dey as a director, or however you say his name. Tom Dey? Who cares? But his directing, I'll say this off the front, his directing's not bad. I'll say that. But you can tell this is a first-time director. I'll say some good about it. He does get some nice shots of the Western and Chinese landscape, the fact that he was able to shoot this in a real location and working with the locations in terms of getting the best he can out of the cast and setting up the scenes and working with a budget. He has some unique ideas for shots like the horseshoe cam and what he's able to get out of Jackie in the action, showing the physicality of him in those scenes like the bar fight. Definitely there's a sense of flair to those moments. And I do think he does get some good comedic timing out of the cast, in particular Jackie and Owen. I will say, though, there's some shots that are a bit chintzy in some areas, and because of that, it doesn't really make the film's action on the level of, say, Rush Hour. It just has that energy of point the camera there, get a shot, put the camera there. And I think that this being a directorial debut for Tom, I don't think it really helped because I don't think he has the experience yet. Because before this, he was mostly directing commercials, and there's not really much asked of that. And I think that also kind of shows in the action because those scenes don't have the size, scale, scope, and impact of a film like, say, Tombstone and even Rush Hour. Like, say what you want about Brett Ratner as a person, but he knows how to direct action. While Money Talks, I love, and while it wasn't on the level of, say, Lethal Weapon, it still had a great sense of flair to it in the action and the stunts that they had. And then later on, he would implement that more with Rush Hour. And granted, like that film here, the action is played for comedic purposes, but I found the action in Rush Hour to just be a bit more massive and eye-catching for me personally. That being said, as the film went along, I do think he improved as a director and picked up some tips because the final battle does have a cool action set piece in the church. That I thought was some of the best moments directed in this film. But besides that, it's not a badly made film. It's not as directed as, say, Jackie's other works. I think if Tom had just directed the comedy and someone else directed the action, I think it would have been a much better film than what we got. And the reason why I don't say remove Tom Dey is because he does get some good performances out of his cast. The biggest one being, to me, Jackie Chan especially. I think he does great in this movie. Once again, bringing his lovable, kind-faced action movie charm to this role. It's cool to see him in a Western action film, as he never really does roles like that. I also think he makes himself at home here with the fact that martial arts is thrown into the mix. And like Rush Hour, he works great with the comedic aspect of the story with Owen Wilson. And speaking of Owen Wilson, he does great here as well. It's cool to see him in a lead role like this, whereas with something like, say, Anaconda or Armageddon, he's mostly a side character. And I think it shows that he has the presence to take on a lead role of this caliber. And repeating myself again, while not Jackie and Chris in Rush Hour, I think him and Jackie work great as a team and off each other. Lucy Liu does a good job as the princess. I appreciate she doesn't play her as the damsel in distress, but while having to take on that aspect for the story, she's trying to get herself out of the situation she's in and deal with it in her own way. So there's a sense of smart to her. Again, I don't like the name they gave her, the stupid Princess Peepee. I don't know why they allowed that. She does fine in the role. Roger Yoon as Lou, I thought he did great too. He was intimidating, had a snarky upper class attitude to him, but did have some presence when he came to him in the action scenes, especially in his moments with Lucy Liu. Other actors that are good despite being canon fodder. I know Xander Berkeley's in there as this sheriff that is also an aide for Liu Fang, and that puts a hit out on them. He does well. Walton Goggins, fine. I don't really have much to say because of his limited screen time his character has, so I can't really make an opinion. Brendan Merrill is this Indian Chong hooks up with, but Roy ends up with her at the end. She does well for what she's given, having a bit of a tomboy side to her. I like the scenes of her training too. Those are really good. Jason Connery, he's not his dad, but he does fine for the role that he's given. The other actors do well too. Now, despite not being as big and ambitious as, say, Rush Hour or even Tombstone, the effects in here look very good. I saw a lot of practicality in the sets. There's some good practical explosions. There's some great practical martial arts in there that looks really good. When people get punched, you really feel like they're getting punched. The shootout with Xander especially, where they're in the shop and he's shooting through the shop to get him out. And there's like practical glass and parts of the window falling on the floor. So they definitely use the environment to their advantage. And if there was any CGI, they do a good job hiding it because I really didn't notice anything. Overall, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's got its flaws, some of them that I have talked about. And the last one is that the score is nothing special. The music is just in one ear out the other. Randy Edelman is a solid composer, and it surprises me that he's the one who did the score for this. Beethoven, Dragonheart, Dragon the Bruce Lee story, for me, those were much better. This, for me, is one of his more forgettable scores. Like, some pieces felt like they were borrowed from other Western scores that were a lot better than this. Besides that, though, while inferior to Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon is a fun gun-slinging good time that will entice both martial arts fans and Westerners. If you're a fan of both genres, I highly recommend you check out Shanghai Noon. It's a fun ride into the sun worth taking. So when it comes down to it, I give Shanghai Noon a 7.9 out of 10. Again, comes very close to getting the seal of approval. But if the action was a little bit better, I guarantee I would have given it an 8 and it would have gotten the Alexander seal of approval. But if you're into these types of films, I highly recommend you check it out because it's a good ride. So, yeah, that is my review for Shanghai Noon, and next time I am going to do a review of Gladiator, as that's one that I've been wanting to review for a while. I know a friend of mine's going to be really happy that I'm going to review that soon. I also got a review coming of Dinosaur and Road Trip, 2 films I can't wait to, and now that I got the April films all reviewed. Now we get into the summer, and I've started the first month of summer with the reviews. Can't wait to get into that, and you guys will be seeing my thoughts on those soon. But for right now, I will see you guys later. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Shanghai Noon. Did you guys enjoy it? What are you guys' thoughts down below? Did you guys like the film? What's your favorite Jackie Chan movie? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.